Although Suits LA episode 13 was a good way to wrap up the season, it was obviously not intended to be a series finale. Suits LA was canceled before its penultimate episode, Angry Sylvester, which left the season finale to abruptly conclude the entire series. The NBC spin-off of the original Suits started in early 2025. There were two competing firms in Suits LA, Black, played by Stephen Amell as Ted Black, Erica Rollins by Lex Scott Davis, Amanda Stevens by Maggie Grace, and Leah Power by Alice Lee, and Railsback Lane, played by Josh McDermott as Stuart Lane, Samantha Railsback by Rochelle Goulding, and Rick Dodson by Brian Greenberg. Suits LA episode 13 provided closure for the named partners involved, as well as for the tense relationship between law firms. Suits LA's series finale ended the antagonistic tension to create room for future conflicts, but because NBC canceled the spinoff, the setup will regrettably never come to fruition. Regretfully, Suits LA's poor viewership made guaranteed that the most recent entry in Aaron Korsh's film universe would only last for one season. Fortunately, all of the plots in Suits LA episode 13 were settled. Ted and Samantha team up for Suits LA's final case. Avery Jeffers, Mike O'Malley, a producer who isn't hesitant to misuse his authority or his employees, was introduced as a new, formidable foe in Suits LA episode 13. Ted and Samantha work together to defeat Jeffers, but he avoids their unethical methods on technical grounds. Desperate, Ted approaches to Roslyn, Azita Ganizada, his assistant, who discloses that Avery Jeffers sexually harassed her when she was his employee. Years later, Roslyn was reluctant to assist Ted because her assault complaint was ignored. To Amanda's dismay, Ted understands that he must use Suits LA's Elizabeth Smith, Sophia Pernas, the criminal prosecutor from Lester's trial, to get Jeffers to accept criminal charges. At first, Smith declines, but Ted appeals to her sense of fairness. In what Ted affectionately refers to as playing a little dirty, Smith discloses that she will not only force Jeffers to retire but also register him as a sex offender. Ultimately, Jeffers strikes a plea agreement that denies him power, if not freedom, and Roslyn gets to look him in the eye. Erica finally gives into her feelings for Rick in Suits LA episode 13. From the start, Erica and Rick's relationship on Suits LA has been complex. Originally competing for the same promotion, Rick leaves the company during the merger shambles and takes a position at Stewart's firm while Erica gets promoted at Ted's. Despite their ambiguous references to a romantic past, the two continue to have a cordial relationship. Rick eventually reveals his affections for Erica, but she is too scared to return the favor as their playful banter goes on. As a result, Rick demands room. Dylan Pryor, Victoria Justice, a client who was dumped after making a sexual approach to Rick, brings Erica and Rick together in the Suits LA season finale. In Suits LA episode 13, Rick explains that they are unable to combine business and pleasure because he is her lawyer. In an attempt to persuade Rick to reconsider, Dylan immediately appoints Erica as her new attorney. After Rick confesses his unrequited love for Dylan, Erica demonstrates that it isn't really unrequited. A passionate kiss between Rick and Erica portends well for their uncertain future together. Stewart reverses his episode 1 betrayal and asks Ted to merge in the Suits LA series finale. Ted's discovery that Stewart, his business partner and best friend, had withdrawn from the merger agreement with Samantha was unquestionably the biggest twist in Suits LA episode 1. Ted and Stewart's underlying feud resulted from the decision, which was perhaps the most dramatic event to occur in Los Angeles this season. Ted and Stewart were able to forgive one another for their previous misdeeds and re-establish their brotherhood throughout Suits LA. In order to set the stage for Rick Hoffman's portrayal of Louis Litt in Suits LA episode 12, Ted even enrolled Stewart in his anger management retreat. The series finale, however, brings the treachery from Suits LA episode 1 full circle. Ted visits Stewart in his office to talk about his and Kevin's, Troy Winbush, activities after Ted and Samantha defeat Jeffers. After that, Stewart asks Ted if he would be open to joining them and completing the initial merger agreement, but Ted is hesitant because of the fictitious love triangle involving him, Samantha, and Amanda. Ted consents to merge with Railsback Lane after meeting Samantha, who makes it plain that she isn't scared of messy. How Stewart and Kevin honor Eddie's memory in Suits LA episode 13. After declining Ted's offer of a job on the West Coast in episode 7, Ted's close buddy and former FBI agent Kevin was mostly gone for the second half of Suits LA. In Suits LA episode 13, Stewart, who was appointed executor of Ted's father's, Matt Letcher, makes the decision to use his position for the greater good. Stewart builds a memorial garden for Ted's older brother, Eddie Black, Carson A. Egan, who passed away in 2010 using the estate Ted's father left behind. Ted has been troubled by Eddie's death in Suits LA, but the whole truth isn't disclosed until the series finale. An assassination was ordered on the former federal prosecutor when Ted apprehended mob boss John Pellegrini, Anthony Azizi. Ted's father sends him out to dinner, knowing the plot, leaving Eddie at home alone himself, so a mafioso may detonate the bomb, killing him but leaving Ted unharmed. In the Suits LA series premiere, Ted's father passed away, but in the series finale, Stewart assisted Ted in finding closure rather than retaliation. The real meaning of the Suits LA series finale. Even though Suits LA episode 13 had some excellent moments, the spin-off's lackluster identity made the conclusion seem pointless. There isn't enough character growth to make the story feel like a journey, not enough narrative complexity to draw out a lesson, and not enough emotion to have a significant impact. A weak identity was the main problem in the end. However, there are other reasons why Suits LA didn't work out. Suits LA's Hollywood location and uniqueness were undermined by the inclusion of all the gritty elements of the original series without any of its charm. Nevertheless, Suits LA episode 13 did have some meaningful moments. Even though it was superficial, Amanda and Ted's disagreement about seeing Elizabeth served as a metaphor for the moral ambiguity inherent in criminal law. Playing dirty to defeat Jeffers is a reflection of how the ends might justify the means in the brutal, dog-eat-dog world that Suits LA attempted to depict. Suits LA downplayed Rosalind for the most of the plot and saved her narrative of surviving sexual assault until the end, even though her backstory may have been a powerful one. Suits LA had the potential to be captivating, but it never gave it all.